crowd. Emmitt Smith will be here. Tua Tagovailoa, Von Miller, Christian McCaffrey, Baker Mayfield all be joining us this week.
Baker's coming?
Nick, we got a lot to talk to Baker about.
I'm excited for all those. I think Tua should be the topic of the draft, but I am excited to talk to Baker.
It's gonna be a fun week. All right, time for some stories to start your morning. Tom Brady's future is up in the air, but one former teammate has some advice. Rob Gronkowski says Brady should test the market and do what's best for him. Nick, what do you think of that advice?
I think it's spot-on advice. I think it's exactly what he's going to do. I actually think everyone believes he's going to test the market to a degree, but will it be a bluff, or is it something he's actually considering leaving New England? I think he's actually considering leaving New England. I think he ultimately actually will leave New England.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to Gronk for business advice, but I appreciate him chiming in on it. I think the best spot for Tom to be successful is staying in New England, where he doesn't have the learning curve and things are in place for them to make another run.
All right, moving on. Another free agent quarterback, Dak Prescott, still doesn't have a deal, but he says he's confident he'll get a long-term contract done with the Cowboys. Brandon, would Dallas be making a mistake, making Dak the highest-paid player in the league?
I think they'll be making a mistake, making him the highest paid in the league, highest paid player in the league, but I think he should definitely get a deal done. I think Dak is more than capable of leading the Cowboys in the postseason into a run, but making him the highest paid, I think they have more roster holes that they can pay that money to the players they have on the roster now.
If I were Dak, I'd be confident I'm getting a deal done, Coach, because Steven and Jerry Jones keep talking like they are certain they're going to get a deal done at almost no matter the cost.
Yeah, a deal is going to get done. Whatever the number is, it's going to be market value. I'm just excited to see the dynamic of working with Aaron Rodgers and then working with Dak Prescott and seeing how that compares.
That's interesting. All right, moving on. Jimmy Garoppolo has taken some criticism for his less than stellar playoff numbers thus far. The Niners haven't had to lean on him much. However, his head coach, Kyle Shanahan, believes in his quarterback and came to his defense yesterday.
When we've needed him to bring us back at the end of games, he's done it. I've never been a part of a game where a quarterback completes 2 3rd and 16s on a final drive to beat the Rams like he did, what he did in that first Arizona game. I think it was a 3rd and 16 also to get us back on the last drive. The second Arizona game, throwing to get back in that game. I mean, people just got to watch the whole season and they'll realize that that's not at all the case.
Nick, what do you make of what Kyle Shanahan had to say?
I respect and I appreciate what he's trying to do, which is build up his quarterback's confidence, especially after in these 2 playoff games, the keys have been taken out of his hand. In the Vikings game, it was after the interception. In the Packers game, I don't really blame Jimmy G for what happened in the Packers game as far as him not throwing passes. They were so successful running the ball, you almost felt like, why would you throw passes? But I still think as a player, you're not involved. They think we're going to be more successful doing something without me than with me. So I get what Kyle Shanahan's doing, but I think it's a little misleading. I mean, yeah, he did absolutely in that Rams game complete 2 3rd and 16s on the final drive to lead them back. They needed those because he had thrown 2 interceptions on earlier drives. This year, 7 times, he has thrown 30 or more passes in a football game, about half of their regular season games. The 2 against the Cardinals, he was exceptional. The game we always talk about against the Saints, where he was exceptional. And all the other games, it's like, oh, this is why that's not what they want to do. Because he will turn the ball over. He will not complete passes at a high percentage in those circumstances. So I think Kyle Shanahan knows that, Brandon, there's a high likelihood that they are going to have to score some points through the passing game to win this Super Bowl. So he is trying to build up the confidence of his quarterback, but I also think Kyle Shanahan is apprehensive and anxious about those moments because of Jimmy's propensity to, his coach says, be a make-it-happen quarterback, and sometimes that's making it happen for the opposition.
Yeah, Jimmy G is more than capable. And what Shanahan has been doing in his playoffs is running the football because that's what works. Jimmy G can definitely come out in this Super Bowl and possibly be a Super Bowl MVP because he just have that playing ability at times. He just buys in. He's a great quarterback for the 49ers because everybody on this 49ers roster buys into what Shanahan is trying to build and trying to do. Some quarterbacks take the selfish route and want to throw the ball more. more. Jimmy G, he grew up under Brady. So he's like, hey, we have to run the ball this game. That's what we'll do. If I have to come out and throw the ball 40 times, I will prepare myself to do so. So Brady mentoring Jimmy G in New England, Jimmy G just seeing how you just take what the defense gives you, I think that's going to help him for the Super Bowl.
But, Coach, when you have a quarterback who has a propensity for turning the ball over, as a head coach, do you want to take the ball out of his hands and obviously be more run heavy? Doesn't that in and of itself take confidence out of your quarterback?
Well, look, you want to manage the game as much as possible, and there's times where if you know a player has a weakness and you put that player in that position and it happens, you can't be mad at that player. And I think you saw last game that Kyle did a really good job of running the ball and staying with the running game, where I'm sure in his heart of hearts he wanted to throw the ball more. Now, when you only pass the ball 8 times, that's a little bit of an indictment on the quarterback. As much as I admire his consistency, it is a little bit of an indictment on the quarterback. When we talk about 3rd and 16s, it's like talking about the Chiefs coming back from 24 points down.
You don't want to be in that
bad.
spot. Yeah.
Why are you in 2 3rd and 16s? What happened to get you in those 2 and 3rd and 16s? And it's great that you overcame it, but you've got to put it all in a context.
If Jimmy Garoppolo plays great, if Jimmy Garoppolo is great, the Niners win the Super Bowl.
But what is great? Is great just not turning the ball over?
Isn't he going to have to be greater than the greatest player that's ever played in the history of the Super Bowl?
I don't think he will, because the Niners have so many structural advantages. They have the better defense at each and every level. They have the better running game. I think the Chiefs have a good offensive line.
Yeah, but they don't have Superman.
Correct. Agreed. Which is why, how big is the gap between Superman and Jimmy Garoppolo? If Jimmy Garoppolo can make it even just this wide instead of this wide, they win the game. But my skepticism for Jimmy Garoppolo is based in the pure fact that he is in as great of a situation as any quarterback can be in. As far as if you watch these Niner games, early in games, it sure seems like Kyle Shanahan is drawing up plays to get easy early completions, to get him in a rhythm early. They are usually playing from ahead, where the team has to dedicate more people to stop the run. They have an elite running game, as all these Shanahan, whether it's Mike or Kyle, the zone blocking schemes do. All these things, you have this amazing play caller, and he's okay. He's fine. Now, I know, Coach, I could see the wheels turning, saying, well, Patrick Mahomes has all these systemic advantages. Correct. And through the first 30...
He's got 2 unbelievable offensive weapons.
Absolutely.
But somehow you keep coming back to... I don't know if he can do it.
No.
He's the greatest player in the history of the NFL.
Let me finish. Hold on.
But I don't know whether or not he can win this game, because San Francisco has so many structural advantages outside of the 2 other potential Hall of Fame players that Kansas City has on offense.
That's right. But if you do have those type of structural advantages, if you're great, you know what you're supposed to do? Put up record-breaking numbers. And that's what Patrick Mahomes has done. Jimmy Garoppolo has similar structural advantages, not as far as wide receivers on the outside, but the way the team's built, his tight end, his offensive line, his running game, and he puts up good numbers. So when you say he can be Super Bowl MVP, I don't think it's impossible, but I think if they have a game plan where they're asking him to do that, he might be the MVP for the Chiefs, throwing a couple picks going the other direction.
I just think Jimmy Garoppolo, nobody's counting on him or Kittles to be involved, but just because how the playoffs has turned out for the 49ers. Just like the Tennessee Titans, everybody felt like they went through Henry, and that's the only reason Tennessee Titans can win. Everybody's thinking the San Francisco 49ers have to run the ball. That is not the case. That's just been what worked for them. So Jimmy G can get going. If he throws 2 touchdowns to the Kittles, and he's keeping the chains moving, not turning the ball over, that can get you a Super Bowl MVP if you're spreading the ball around and you win the game. That's why I say it can be Super Bowl MVP.
All right, before we hit the break, we want to go viral one more time. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they're in the Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years, which prompted Kansas City's play-by-play announcer to ask the hard-hitting questions on opening night.
Welcome to all of this, and all of this is crazy. Tom Brady guy.
Yeah.
Tano Passanio, right? Can you spell Passanio?
K-P-A-S-S-G-N-O-N. The sneaky A.
If you had to wrestle tonight up here, who would you have to pick? Who would you pick to wrestle?
I'd pick Derek Nottie.
I would whoop his tail, bro. And you could tell him I said it. I'll tell him to his face.
Bro, what's happening?
Now, I got to ask. Here we go. So this is a man full of jet fuel. Is it true that you asked him to drop you down from the ceiling instead of walking up the ramp?
I did.
At least 5 people I noticed came up to you and mistook you for Travis Kelce. How did you handle that?
I just play it off. I tell him I'm Travis.
I saw at least 5 people tonight mistake you for Patrick Mahomes. What is that?
That's true. That's true. I think it's the flow in my hair.
Make no mistake, the Chiefs are focused. Don't let all of this throw you off, because this night is about being crazy.
I'm so happy for Mitch Holthus. That's who that was. He's been the Chiefs. You know Mitch?
Great guy.
A great guy. And loves the team. And by the way, I just stepped in the shoes. The guy who previously had the job was Kevin Harlan, who's an all-time great announcer. Mitch has done a great job and lives and dies with the team. When Brandon was there, when I was living there, I'm so happy for him.
And it's great. This week is all about who can ask the most creative questions, who can have the most fun with these guys, or just who can just get
Coach
these guys
loves
to
that.
open up the mouth. I was just going to say, right on brand with Coach right here.
In that evening, in that moment, it's perfect, and it was so nice to see the like appreciation he had of the moment.
Of
and he's been
course.
suffering for 50 years, so it's great.
I knew it. Hey, we got so much more for you down here in Miami.